Have you ever dreamed of moving to Costa Rica, but you fear the unknown? I'm Rebecca Clower, owner of Blue Water Properties in Costa Rica, one of the top real estate and investment agencies in the country. I'm a dual citizen of Costa Rica and the USA, and I'm also a mom to 2 children. And like you, I had many questions about moving to Costa Rica and life in the tropics. This series is geared towards educating you on the ins and outs of Costa Rica living and what you should know before taking the plunge. Hey everyone, I'm Rebecca Clower with Blue Water Properties, and I want to thank you today for joining us on another episode of Tips. Today we're going to be talking about the #1 question I am asked, which is, what is the cost of living here in Costa Rica? And unfortunately, there is no easy answer. So I'm going to run over some different scenarios, and we'll be talking about my life and my cost of living. But of course, you'll have to adjust accordingly depending on what kind of life you lead. Of course, I work, I have children, they're in school, and so I have different expenses compared to someone, for example, that's retiring here in the country. So definitely at the end, we'll have a little summary, and I hope that'll help you to understand what the costs of living are here in Costa Rica. So for my scenario, we're going to take it a family of 4. I have 2 boys and my husband. So basically we're talking about 4 people in one household. I'm gonna give you an overview of what I spend on food and what my lifestyle habits are, so that way it can give you an idea of what yours will cost as well. So basically we'll start by talking about cars. Luckily I own my car outright, and actually as a foreigner, you really can't get a loan here. So if you're gonna buy a car, most likely it will be cash. In this case, I have a newer model SUV. I pay $80 a month for full coverage insurance, just to give you an idea, and that is for a newer model. So of course, you don't have to get insurance if you don't want to. It's not mandatory here, but I do suggest it if you have a newer model car. Okay, so we're gonna talk about gas and diesel. Here in Costa Rica, you might have heard, but it is not cheap. So I have an SUV that is a diesel SUV, therefore I spend approximately, you're looking around $50 to $60 every time that I fill up, and that's about once a week. So definitely we're looking at least $200 a month for me to be able to keep up my car and run around town. So I have 2 children that attend local bilingual school here in the Flamingo Beach area, and they pay basically $700 a month per child to attend. If your child is going to be homeschooled, obviously that's going to be a low-cost option, as well as public school, which is virtually cost-free. There's also other options in lower-cost private schools as well. For a family of 4, we spend about $800 to $1,000 a month on food. I have boys that eat a lot, so I think that drives up my budget a little bit. But that budget for us is going to the farmer's market, going to the regular grocery store, going to PriceSmart, going to the butcher shop. And so it's a combination of going to several different places in order to sometimes get what I need and go save money on things that we also need. So that is basically more or less of a budget that we have here. So health insurance is also a budget item for most of us. Here in Costa Rica, I have private prepaid plan, and I also am part of the Caja here in Costa Rica, which is the socialized healthcare. So between those 2, I basically pay about $50 a month for Caja, and then on top of that, I have a prepaid plan for a family, which runs about $32 a month. So between those 2, they cover us pretty well here in Costa Rica. There's also a lot of options for private insurance. Blue Cross Blue Shield, a lot of other companies, BMI, for example, also have options here. That is all going to depend on your age and your risk category, but expect to pay anywhere from, an average of $200 a month per person and up, depending again on your pre-existing conditions and the brand that you're using. Another big factor for your budget is housing. I happen to own my house. However, if you need to rent, that's obviously something that you need to keep in mind. In and around the Central Valley, rents in general are much cheaper than here at the coast. So obviously you need to keep that in consideration as well if you're looking to rent something. In and around the capital, you'll find much lower costs, anything from $300 a month and up for an apartment, or you can be also looking for anything more modest home from $400 and up. And if you want more of a luxury home, you'll be looking at about $1,000 per month or more. Here around the beach, most of the smaller condominiums that are a bit more modest just start around $500 a month and go up from there. Larger condominiums and luxury condominiums, you can be looking at anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 plus. And when it comes to housing, you can get housing anywhere from average of $1,200 a month all the way up to $5,000 plus per month, depending on the type of house, how large it is, how many bedrooms, if it has an ocean view, and the proximity to the beach. As you get farther away from the beach, you will definitely save money, so that's something to keep in mind as well. Just to give you an overview on the expenses that I have, more or less fixed expenses every month, like internet and cable, which run around $70 a month. Our water bill can run anywhere from $30 a month to $100 a month, depending on whether or not we're in dry season or rainy season. Obviously, if you're in the Central Valley, you don't have to really worry about that too much because you pretty much have rain all year round. Then we had things like home insurance. If you have a house, you're gonna have home insurance most likely. My home insurance runs around $80 a month. If you live in a condominium, your homeowners association fees typically cover that insurance payment. Other fixed expenses such as electric. Again, this is something that's on a wide scale. We have solar, so obviously much of our bill is absorbed because of that, but an average cost, at least here on the beach, is anywhere from $150 to $500 a month, again, depending on how often you're using AC, how often you're washing clothes, if you have a dishwasher, etc. Again, in the Central Valley, and my parents live in the Central Valley, their bill hovers around $100 a month, just to put it in perspective. And they do have AC, but they really don't run it much. So that gives you an idea. And then of course you have other things like yard service. Do you have someone helping you cut the lawn, etc.? So that's going to run you anywhere from $50 to $150 a month, again, on average, depending on how big of a yard that you have. So in terms of water, that can be something that's inexpensive, depending on what time of year we're at here. Water doesn't cost too much. It does run around anywhere from $30 to $100 a month, depending on if you have to water your yard, how many people are in the house, but that's about an average for us, is anywhere from $30 to $100 a month, depending on the time of year. Again, in the Central Valley, this will be less. So I'm happy to say that for those of us who work from home and all you digital nomads out there, we have really great internet and cable. So I have fiber optic internet, and I also have digital cable. I have a great package of 100 megs. I pay about $70 a month. So that's just to give you an idea. There are higher packages, even at the beach. But again, that's what I have. That's a package that I pay for. So again, we're gonna run down. I'm gonna give you a slide so you can look it over and see an average cost of living for someone like me that has 2 children and a husband. And again, if you like this video, please give us a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and tune into our next tips video. Pura vida.